attached. I learned in childhood that love needs to be earned, that I have to give more of myself to earn love. That's why I'm subconsciously attracted to emotionally unavailable people like avoidance and narcissists, because these are people that confirm my fears that love has to be earned, and I have to keep giving more and more of myself, my energy, my time, my effort, my love, to hopefully get some breadcrumbs in return.
Hey guys, welcome to Little Black Book 91. This is your favorite dating and relationship coach. Today, we're talking about anxiously attached. Yes, earning everybody's love. That is what we're talking about today. So anxiously attached, but we're talking about the topic of having to earn everybody's love. Let me say this very, very quickly. Insecure attachment of anxious attachment is someone that craves validation and reassurance. The fear of being rejected, abandoned, and betrayed leads that person to people pleasing. Okay. And inconsistent parenting from childhood of emotional needs leads a child to yearn and to try and earn the affections and the attention and acknowledgement in their adult relationships. Welcome to anxiously attached. I want to let you know that the anxious attachment style is one of 4 that John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth, who are psychologists, came up with in terms of looking at relationship between a child and a child caregiver. And the important thing about this is that what it came to understand is that children who grow up to be adults, which is most of us, hopefully by the grace of God, the way that we attach in the relationships in adult is dependent upon what we experience as children with our caregiver between the developmental ages between 0 and 3 usually, right? But of course, after that, we're still affected by the way our parents also treat us. The anxious attachment style is really based upon the inconsistent behavior of a parent. But there are other things that also play into that aspect. And I'm going to break it down for you as to why you always feel like you have to earn everybody's love around you. So before I do anything else, make sure you do me a massive favor. You're liking, you're sharing, you're subscribing to this channel, because every Monday we're going to drop videos like this, okay? And we've got a fearful avoidance next. So I know you guys have been asking me to do this kind of stuff. I promise you I will bring more stuff for you guys well, all right? So like, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of uploads. We appreciate you guys. Stay locked and loaded. We're going to drop the 5 reasons as to why you're always trying to earn everybody's love. Let's get
Deeper.
All righty. Now, before I drop those 5 reasons, I'm going to drop the 5 reasons. I need to understand that where does this idea actually come from? Where does the idea that you must earn the love of someone in a relationship? Well, the reality of the situation is that it comes from parents who are emotionally neglectful in some shape or form. Not abusive, because abusive would mean they were doing it on purpose. But there's some emotional neglect, meaning the parent was inconsistent in the way that they parented. All right. Now, there are some aspects to this, which also is that the parent could be very strict, overbearing. They can cross your boundaries as a child, almost a meshment style. The parent can end up being in a space where they have too much criticism for you, and there can be maybe some family discord or breakups that you witness early on in your childhood, or an overbearing parent in that place. And in a sense, what they actually did is that they created an environment that told you it's not safe to explore. And so the anxious person is hypervigilant, always looking out to see if there's going to be a change, because if they can predict the change, then they can begin to adapt to the caregiver and be able to receive their needs. Well, in a relationship, the same thing happens in your adulthood, that you become hypervigilant to any kind of change. My eyebrow twitching, my eye moving left, my hand signal, maybe the way I'm breathing, maybe the way I said something completely different than last time. You look for patterns in behavior, and when you see a change, you get anxious. If I text normally every 2 hours, but I text every 3 hours this time, now you're like, what's going on? And you tend to catastrophize your situations, like doom and gloom, and it's about to all end. Okay, but it comes from the very fact that your childhood, unfortunately, okay, had inconsistent caregivers. All right, and so we're going to break it down the other problems here. The first thing is we got to talk about is this fear of abandonment that happens for the individual when we're talking about earning everybody's love. The child who's experienced that inconsistent warfare, inconsistent needs being met by the parent, fears abandonment. And because it fears abandonment and rejection and betrayal, what that child will end up doing is that it internalizes it and it tries to have some form of control, which is one of my points later on. And in doing so, trying to have that form of control, what it would do is it would try to look for signals of a change that is happening in order to make sure that it protects itself from what may come as its needs not being met. And so it tries to fawn or become the perfect child in order to make sure that they get their needs met. If I'm perfect, I'm good. If I do everything the parent ever said or wanted, then what's going to happen is I'm going to make sure that you're going to make sure that my needs are met. And what this also does is it causes a child also to be hyper vigilant or hyper focused, I should say, probably hyper focused on the parent, because you're always being vigilant. You're always focused on what they're doing. And inadvertently, what that does is it takes your eyes away from you, your needs, and your wants. And so you're so focused on trying to earn this love from the parent because you're so focused on them that you actually forget your own needs and your wants and yourself because you're so focused on them. And so you become afraid of the abandonment. And so what you end up doing is, if I can earn their love, I become indispensable. If I can earn their love, I become indispensable to them and they can't get rid of me. They can't reject me and they can't abandon me and they won't betray me because I'm indispensable. People that have that anxious attachment style tend to try and control things and how they move and how they go. They want to be everywhere. They're almost clingy at points. They do too much. And if you're fearful avoidant, you actually know this because you both contain the anxious and the avoidant piece. And so you can definitely identify what we're talking about right now because part of you also does this. You consistently put yourself in a position where you're afraid of abandonment. And so you will try to be the best girlfriend, sister, friend for everybody. And reality is you actually want to say no, but you actually keep on saying yes. Okay. Problem number 3, okay, as to why you always want to earn everybody's love is simply this: you believe you have to work to be worthy. Okay, because you've been in a space where the parent was inconsistent and you were always being hyper vigilant, and maybe you actually quote unquote did win the affection of your parent or the getting your needs met by the parent by making sure that you were the perfect child. You suddenly realize, actually, if I work for this, I will be able to get what I need. So if I become the perfect girlfriend, if I'm always helping you out, if I'm perfect boyfriend, I'm saying it could be for somebody, and I'm always helping you out, I'm always trying to sort this out. If I'm always the person that plans things, if I'm always the person that does this, if I'm always, then I'm always going to be your always. Can I say that again? If you're always, then I will always be your always. And that's what you believe. If I can just work at it, I'll be worthy. But the reality of the situation is that doesn't happen. And as the gentleman was explaining, a lot of times the reason why it doesn't happen is because anxious people tend to choose people that they consistently are in a space of trying to have to earn the love, right? They're consistently in a place of chasing something that is fleeting to try and get this love back. They're consistently in a place where they're having to force it because in that reality, if they can get it, then they've worked for it, then they feel special for it, right? Then they feel special for it because they've attained it. Problem number 4. It is your way of controlling your environment. It's your way of controlling what's happening to you in situation. It is your way of feeling safe. The child who was anxious, unfortunately, did not feel safe in their environment. Okay, the inconsistent parent, the overbearing parent, the parent that was too controlling, the parent that was too strict, okay, caused that child to feel like they could not explore their environment. And so the child grows up in relationships trying to control their environment. And so that environment involves you and me, someone else other than themselves. And so, like I said, when they're planning a trip, everybody must go on a trip. All right, we're going to eat. Everybody must eat from this menu. You almost can't be free with an anxious person because they feel that any deviance is a form of betrayal or abandonment or rejection about to happen. You see, anxiety is all about being able to predict what might happen, but you predict it from a place of fear. Ooh, Jesus, give us strength. Anxiety is about predicting the future, okay, but from a lens of fear that something would happen, catastrophizing. And so you try to earn everybody's love to stop the catastrophizing event happening in the future. You ever watch those films like 2012 or 2020, where they do those films where something bad's about to happen in the future and we're all working to try and change it? That's the anxious person. They see that future, like Raven Baxter, I can see into the future. That's impossible. Anyway, listen. So, but anyway, so and what ends up happening is the person who's anxious, okay, is trying to prevent this catastrophic event happening, but it's not necessarily happening. It's in their perception, and they are over vigilant and over analyzing a situation that may not even come to pass. And actually, that's what ends up happening in self sabotaging. Your need to be clingy and needy, okay, becomes a problem. But it's a way of control to make you feel safe in your environment. And number 5, the final point is this: validation comes from relationships. Many people that are anxious actually don't know how to self-regulate and self-soothe. And so what ends up happening is they actually end up using relationships that they have with people, friends, family, loved ones, and they soothe, they co-regulate to soothe. Now, part of that is great because we should be co-regulating to soothe in a relationship, but not all the time. Right? Not all the time. But remember, the anxious person thinks to myself, if I co-regulate with you every single time, you can't leave me. Because if I'm always co-regulating with you, then I'm always going to be your always. Say it with me in the chat. I'm always going to be your always. Okay? All right. And so you're trying to earn the person's love in that space. Okay, and you're trying to fight for it, and you're hoping that through that fight, your validation will come through the relationship. It will show you your worth and show me your worth and show your love, that this person cares about you and appreciates you, and finally somebody sees me for who I really am. But you're trying to earn everybody's love by kind of almost being over serving, right? Into a place where you always got to serve everybody in their needs, that you forget your own. And that becomes problematic because in the end, when you don't have your needs being met, you're going to run out of steam. So you're trying to earn everybody's love in order so that you can feel safe. And because of that, it leads to that validation from relationships, right? You're always trying to fight for a relationship. You're always trying to cling on to a relationship. You can't let go of a relationship. You see, that's not the avoidance in you. The reason why you can't let go of a relationship with you is the anxiety. You're afraid of what will happen if this relationship ends. What does that make me? What would that mean about me as a person? That I deserve to be rejected? That I deserve not to be loved? I deserve not to have my needs met? Right? That it really isn't safe outside, right? There's so many different thoughts that go on with an anxious person. So this is today's episode talking about anxious attachment, earning everybody's love. I want to remind you once more again that insecure attachment that craves validation and reassurance. The fear of being rejected, abandoned, and betrayed leads a person to people pleasing, inconsistent parenting, or emotional needs. Inconsistent parenting of emotional needs leads a child to yearn and to try and earn the affections, attention, and acknowledgement in their adult relationships. You try to win people over by being way too much invested in trying to serve them, trying to know their needs, mind read, all of that kind of stuff, just so you can earn their affections, because you don't believe that really and truly down deep, you're actually worthy of that love. And you cannot be still, because if the moment you're still, you're actually losing value, right? But you don't realize the car on the car lot, as soon as it comes off the car lot, is where actually its value starts to depreciate. And the more you drive it, the more it becomes depreciated. Actually, stay still. Just be. Okay? All right? We'll be back again next week for another video talking about fearful avoidant and the attachment styles as well. And I will increase the amount of videos I do during the course of the week. Much love, much appreciation. We'll see you again soon. And